Welcome to another episode of Addicted to the Q. We have on today Darren with Ash Kickin BBQ. How are you doing today?
Not too bad. How are you?
Good. Where are you from?
Minnesota, actually, just northern suburbs. So northern suburbs of the cities, kind of smack dab in the middle. So it works out well for traveling when I need to.
Are you close to Big Rack's Barbecue, the team?
Yes. Yeah, actually, they live in the same city I do.
Oh,
Yep.
Sweet.
Yeah. I know them very well.
So what was it, last year, the American Royal Backyard, they came home with a nice little cup.
Yeah.
Not a trophy, a cup.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they actually used my rub in their chicken recipe down there. So that was pretty cool.
Cool.
I thought that was awesome.
So does that make you feel better when somebody else uses your product and does well more than when you do it?
100%. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it kind of falls along the same lines of I get more joy out of watching other people eat my food than I do eating it myself. Like I don't eat much barbecue. Like when I do videos, I pretty much bring it to work or give it away or something like that. You know, I cook so much of it. It's just kind of like, I'd much rather have a steak any day of the week.
Yeah.
You can only eat so many ribs and pork steaks and sirloin. And so where did the name Ash Kickin BBQ come from?
So when I first started my YouTube channel, it was Backyard Barbecue. And then I realized there was like 80 other channels with Backyard Barbecue. And I was like, okay, well, this is silly. And I don't know. I can't remember if I did like a Google search of like a name generator or something. I know I was Googling it, like cool barbecue names. And then I was kind of like, well, Ash Kickin. I'd seen like there was an Kickin Ash basket or something like that. And I'm like, well, hopefully it's like too close. And then, yeah, so I think I just like pieced it together. I don't even really remember how I ended up changing it, but I was like, I need something unique and I want to tie it into all my socials. Cause like on YouTube, it was Backyard Barbecue. And then Instagram, it was BBQ for, I couldn't do BBQ for life. So it was BBQ for LFE. And I'm like, this is just silly. Like it all needs to be the same. And so it was just kind of finding something that I think I could like brand pretty good. And I've seen now that there's some other Ash Kickin barbecues out there. I know there was one in Georgia at one point. I don't think they're around anymore. And then there's one in Michigan, but they go under Ash Kickin Barbecue LLC. So it's kind of funny because I get messages from people in Michigan. They're like, hey, can you do this, do that? I'm like, I'm in Minnesota. You're the wrong Ash Kickin, you know? So, but like I have the actual domain ashkickinbbq.com, and I purchased that from someone who had it like 2 years ago. I just haven't gotten around to building the website yet. But yeah, I just wanted to tie everything together and have ownership of everything. So that's, yeah, I couldn't even tell you how I came up with the name now. I know it was Google searching, kind of like when you do like fantasy football team names, you like plug it into a generator. And that's kind of how I was like, well, that sounds cool. I'll roll with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you did YouTube before you started the competitions?
Kind of. So I got started in competitions when a buddy of mine, he had been cooking them for a long time with another group of guys, and he just asked me if I wanted to come with to one. It was about 3 hours from home. Excuse me. I think it was Memorial Day weekend. And we went down there and I didn't know anything about it. So I just sat and drank and we ate good food and partied. And I'm like, okay, well, this is cool. Like, and then we ended up getting like a pork call. And it was really weird because like our skins shrunk up on our chicken thighs. It looked like little postage stamps. And then so we turned in skinless chicken that we had just sauced up, and we ended up doing like fairly well with it. I'm like, oh, well, this is fun. Like I like doing this. So then I cooked with them for a while, never really like cooking myself. But then as I was going to it more and more, I'm like, okay, well, if we're going to go do these, like I can sit and party at home. Like if I'm going to spend the money and come and do these, I want to start winning and doing well and see like how well I can do. And so I think I started the YouTube channel just because I was starting to practice cooking at home, because my first ribs was like a competition rib practice video. And it popped off like I want to say it was either Father's Day weekend that year or Memorial Day weekend that year. It started blowing up, and I got 150,000 views, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I think I did like 1 or 2 videos after that, and then I slowed down and didn't do much, and then I started doing them again, and then the following year I said I was going to do at least one video a week for a year, and I did that, and just kind of been rolling with it. So everything kind of started at the same time. I was using YouTube to kind of I'm like, well, I'm going to be practicing and cooking anyways. I might as well film it and do it. And I like taking pictures and doing like video stuff like that. So it was just kind of was natural and fun for me to do it. Like when Instagram was still pictures, I really enjoyed taking like food pictures and stuff like that. But that's all like TikTok videos now, basically.
Reels and all that.
Yeah. And I was not into the reels. I pushed away from them for so long. I'm like, I'm not doing these. These are stupid. And now I actually really enjoy them because it's like I can just film everything quickly with my phone, do a voiceover, and it's good to go. A little less work than setting everything up for a YouTube video.
Yeah. Oh, a lot less work.
Yeah. I mean, you guys know, like a normal cook that should take you 3 hours if you're not filming somehow ends up taking like 4 or 5 hours because you're filming everything. And it's just, people don't understand it unless they do it.
As many times as you open the lid to the cooker or the drum, it's
And
everybody's like, if you're looking, you ain't cooking. I'm like, well, how am I supposed to film anything if I'm?
I think I'll do an episode like that. Not even open the lid, just be like, we're doing ribs.
Yeah.
Man, they're looking good. You haven't even opened it because they're cooking.
Set your phone by the smoker for 4 hours, and there you go.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You always get like the snarky comments on videos and stuff. I got one this morning, and he's like, I was just like, my goal when I do a video is to explain the process enough where you can follow along while I'm doing it and not have to rewind it. So I explain like everything in depth, and I know I'm like, God, I'm really talking a lot here, but I don't, at least in my mind, I'm not putting anything extra in the video that doesn't need to be there. If something's in there, I think it's there for a reason. Whether or not you get value out of it, I mean, I don't know, but like in my mind, it's there. You can follow this whole thing. So I got a comment this morning. The guy said, "You talk a lot." I said, "Okay."
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, you're not going to please everybody with YouTube. No. I mean, at all. No. And Brad and I, we're sponsored by Good Charcoal, and I did a episode testing like Royal Oak and Kingsford and Good Charcoal, all 3 burning, all 3 lit at the same time. See how long they burn. I mean, Good Charcoal won.
Yeah,
it was on the briquettes. And I stated at the very beginning, I'm using an accelerant, lighter fluid on all 3 piles, lighting them all at the same time. We got a comment, who uses lighter fluid to light charcoal? I'm like, this was a test for all 3. I was only using 12 briquettes. I'm not cooking anything.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah.
But, hey, comments are comments. It feeds the logarithm, whether it's good comments or bad comments.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, if someone is a really big asshole, like I'll delete the comment and block them. I don't have time. I don't have time for it anymore. Like I used to sit and, I mean, if they catch me after a night when I've had a few beers and I get a little lippy and I respond to them and leave it up long enough for them to see it, and then I'll block them because good luck responding now, But you got to have a thick skin with it because there's always someone out there who is better than you. They won Grandpa's Dirt Rib Festival with their cousins 8 years ago, and they know better. And it's just, and then you look on their channel and they have no videos, they have nothing. And it's like, well, if you're so good at it, why don't you do a video on it? I'm making these videos for the people who actually want to learn, or maybe like, I look at my channel as more of an educational. I don't really do much like entertaining aspect on there. It's just not my style. I like to teach people, and so that's kind of how I roll with that mindset. And, I like everyone, I watch a lot of Malcolm's videos. And so I just he's done well, and, he's got a little humor in there from time to time, but it's all a learning process too. So I just kind of emulate that because, Malcolm's the king.
How long you been cooking barbecue?
Man,
how long you been cooking? Yeah.
So I started cooking because like my dad and my grandpa and my uncle all did a little bit of like, I mean, barbecue's not like, it wasn't super big up here in Minnesota for a long time. And so like my grandpa and uncle and stuff, they would smoke like salmon on the old Brinkman bullets, you know? And so my uncle ended up getting a Weber Smoky Mountain and gave me that Brinkman. And so I remember my buddy and I, we were sitting there drinking some beers on like a Saturday afternoon. It was just gorgeous out. And I'm like, man, we should go get some salmon and smoke some salmon. So we went and got a slab of salmon. We threw it on there. We're smoking it. We both got food poisoning. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I hate barbecue. And that was probably, I was like, I'll be 35 in June. We were probably like 21 then. And so I didn't really start getting into it. Like, I always liked grilling, like steaks and burgers, stuff like that. But I never, you know, I think when I first moved in with one of my buddies, I got an old Weber gas grill from my grandpa, and I was doing the foil packets with the wood chips and having to prop the lid on it to keep it at like 250. And that's how I smoked ribs for the longest time. And I really enjoyed it. I'm like, man, this is cool. You get to hang outside. Everyone comes over and drinks and eats food. It's a good time. And then I remember I went to the grocery store and they had like a $80 like box smoker. I'm like, oh, I'll buy that, you know, and was doing that. And then finally I ended up getting like the first real one I got was a char griller Acorn, the Kamado, you know, that's not the ceramic one. And I bought a barbecue guru for it. And so then I started doing it every weekend. And yeah, I remember I did my first ever brisket and it was just terrible. Like, it was so salty, and we did it for Father's Day. And like my family ate it, and my grandpa, he was a champ about it. He's like, yeah, he's like a little salty, but he's like, it's good. It's good. I'm like, now I look at pictures of my briskets now compared to that. I'm like, wow, night and day difference.
Yeah.
It's always when you feed the family that crap always screws up. It never fails. You make the best food for yourself, and then, but that's like, I don't think you're supposed to get food poisoning the first time you cook barbecue. I'm just a thought. I don't
know. No, I don't think so either. But I didn't. It looked done. Like, I'm like, you know, people eat raw salmon all the time, and I'm like, now knowing like that's sushi grade salmon, like little different things here, not from the local grocery store that has been sitting on the shelf for probably 2 weeks, and they just keep relabeling it. I don't know, but I mean, and I still smoking salmon is one of my favorite things to smoke. I probably cook salmon at least once a week, just to eat. I just enjoy it, and actually I'm not like I'm biased, but I think my rub is one of the best rubs you can put on salmon. It gets nice and sweet with a little bit of heat and kind of like caramelizes, and it's just really good. So, and then putting the hot honey on there. I mean, you could do a lot with salmon, and I just think it's super underrated.
I will have to agree or disagree. Salmon is one fish I cannot eat. I don't know
really?
why. I don't know if it's the fishy taste to it. Like, it's no.
Really?
I can do tuna. I can do a lot of other fish. I cannot do salmon.
Really? Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I have a buddy. He goes to Alaska every year, and he brings home like king salmons and cohos. And so he was asking me, he goes, will you smoke them up? And actually I did a video on it. It was like, I can't remember how much it was, but I did a video when I cooked it for him. And so for smoking it, he gave me a couple king salmons, and I'm like, oh man, I'm going to save these for a special occasion, because they're like the best of the best, you know? And yeah, I enjoy salmon. I really like tuna steaks. So like grilled tuna steaks are right up there too. I think they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I'm going to switch gears a little bit with the YouTube. We're going to talk about the YouTube.
Sure.
So how did you say how long you've had your YouTube?
Since 2019, February of 2019.
So 5 years.
Yep.
So we kind of commented about that, and we kind of talked a little bit about it off air. And you said it takes about 4 or 5 years to kind of get name recognition.
I think if you're going to do it, you should make a 5-year commitment to it. And so if I were going to start, and I've honestly thought about starting another channel here, just for like cooking, not so much just like barbecue orientated. But if I were to do it, I would batch shoot 10 videos before I even started my channel, and I'd have them ready to go. And I would do one a week, Because the biggest thing too is that I found is consistency. Like my videos drop every day at 4 or every week at 4 o'clock on Friday. That is my time. That's always been my time. And if I have like an extra video I'm dropping during the week, I'll maybe do it Monday, and then I'll do Monday, Friday, but whatever, which, you know, working with some brands, they're like, well, we really like it on Thursday. I'm not changing my day. Like I've done this way for years. It's dropping on Friday at 4 o'clock. So being consistent, if you're going to do one video a month, do one video a month on the same day at the same time. If you're going to do one video a week, same thing. But I would say at least, you know, try and do it for 5 years, but really try and do a video a week for at least a year, 2 years. Cause especially right now, it seems like you can grow a little bit quicker than even 2019. Cause 2020, when COVID and whatnot happened, that seemed to really propel people cooking at home and kind of blew up the barbecue scene again, at least from what I saw in my numbers and stuff. But it's a commitment. And if you're going to do it, like I've had a lot of friends that are, they got big Instagram accounts and we're going to start a YouTube channel. I'm like, okay. I was like, you're not going to get that crossover. Just because you have 30,000 followers on Instagram doesn't mean that all those followers, it's not going to matter. People are on Instagram because they like Instagram.
Yep.
And you may get a few that you talk to on the regular that go over and support your channel, but you're not going to get that same crossover. And they're like, oh, didn't believe me. And then, so they do it for a couple months and then they're like, this sucks. I'm not growing. I'm done. And then they quit. I'm like, well, that's why it's not going to work for you.
Well, that's the hardest thing. We did, like Brian had Addicted to the Q, you know, Facebook. It's got 8,000 people. I'm like, well, it's going to take us no time to get 1,000 subscribers. Well, hell, we'll get all kinds of traffic. They don't cross over very well.
No. And
you got to do it for fun, though. I mean, if you're going to go into it with the mentality of this is my job, you got to make it fun first.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, there's some days I just don't want to film. Like I have 4 racks of ribs, a brisket, and a bunch of other stuff in the fridge. And I'm like, I'm going to film a couple videos this weekend. And I haven't done anything. Like there's just sometimes I'm just not in the mood to film, but I always do like batch shoots. So I'll take a weekend and just dedicate an entire weekend to doing 3-4 videos. And then I'll edit it all week and then post on Friday. So I think I have like 2 or 3 in the hopper right now, and that'll get me through until April. But then I really got to get a bunch done before the comp season really kicks off, because it's hard to film when you're cooking comps every other weekend or every weekend and keeping up on it. Cause there's so much to do with the prep going into it and everything else that it's a good idea to batch shoot if you can. I think like Martin Luther King weekend, I shot 5 or 6 videos that weekend. That's all I did was film all weekend. And that's got me through, you know, the past month. I haven't filmed. I don't even know the last time I filmed.
And that's what we kind of do, but it also helps having 2 of us big time. Because a lot of times I'm like, I don't have anything to post this week. And Brian's like, I got you. We got this one we can post. And there's some, because you do a lot of batch shoots too, Brian. You'll do a weekend and you'll do 3 or 4 videos.
But you're my yin to my yang. I'm the dude that toasts marshmallows. Is like, let's post this with some barbecue rub. And Brad's like, what?
Man, some cooks like that blow up. I mean,
they do.
I posted on my Instagram. Let's see, what was it? I ripped the membranes off of 2 racks of baby back ribs.
I saw that. Just like the finger and quick rip. Yeah.
3.6 million views. That's all it was. Wow. Me ripping a membrane off. It was insane.
Well, that's like my, I did a video just grilling hot dogs with my son, and I'm like teaching the next generation to cook. And that one blew up on TikTok. And it was just, but then again, my wife has TikTok. She watches it more than I do, and she watches the dumbest stuff on there. So I kind of get it. Like, it's a luck of the draw what people watch.
Hey, when we had that negative 20 degrees here over winter, I grabbed a bunch of ice cubes, threw them in a pot, turned it on the stove, and was like cooking dinner in negative degree weather, and that took off. I'm like, but my brisket and my pork and all that stuff didn't take off, but that one did.
Yeah, the videos you think are going to take off sometimes don't, and then the ones you're amazed with.
No, yeah, I'll do a reel on like cooking a pizza, or like with a voiceover, it'll do like 17,000 views. And I'm like, okay, but me ripping a membrane off in 10 seconds twice is going to be the one that hits a couple million. Like, does nothing. Like, I'm like, man, I should have at least seasoned them up or something. So 3.6 million people who watch this at least see my seasoning or something. But nope, it's just my hands ripping off a membrane, and that's what blows up. That's usually how it goes, though. You put the effort into something. Yeah, you put the effort into something. It does terrible, and you like. Prime example was my my what was it? It was the I gotta find which video it was. It was the smoked chicken bombs. I did those, and that one's got 560, but that's not the one. There was
like a cheeseburger bomb, a chicken bomb.
Yeah. Well, and so that whole thing kind of started because I did the shotgun shells.
Oh yeah.
I did the shotgun shells, and those popped off insane. Like, I don't even know what they're up to right now. I'm trying to find it. Oh yeah, 1.5 million views, and that video was a video that I did for another company for their channel, and they told me, they're like, if you do a video for us and you edit it differently, you can post it on your channel. I'm like, okay, well, I had nothing to post that week, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna re-edit this video and post it on my channel, and then it pops off for over 1 million views. I was never even gonna post that video. It was never going to see my YouTube, and I posted it and it popped off. Well, that thumbnail, I just kept trying to emulate it. So like a little bit later, I did the smoke shotgun shells, like jalapeno popper stuffed ones. That one went off for over 100,000 views. But the thumbnail, I noticed, I was just trying to emulate that with all of them. And then that's kind of when I went into the smoked chicken bombs. That one popped off for almost 600,000. And then I did the pig shots, very similar thumbnail. Buffalo chicken jalapeno poppers, that very similar thumbnail, and then the burger bombs. All of those thumbnails are really similar, and that's like the only thing I could think about was, okay, well, the thumbnail's really appealing, and that's why people are clicking on it. So I try to emulate that same style of thumbnail, which was taken on my deck with the woods in the background. So you can't do that in the wintertime. Like, nobody wants to see a white background full of snow or a muddy yard right now that it's spring, So it's trying to figure out the thumbnail game too. I think the thumbnail is the biggest thing. And honestly, if I was going to restart a barbecue channel, I would post a ton of brisket videos to start off, because everyone likes watching brisket videos.
Brisket videos seems like even in shorts that those take off.
Yeah.
I guess nobody knows how to cook a brisket, so they like watching about it. I don't know.
Yeah. I sit down and I kind of plan out what I want to do. Like month to month, or at least a couple, like right now it's a couple months out. I have like what I'm doing every week, and I'm always like thinking about the thumbnail. So even if like I cook a rack of ribs on, say it's like a Saturday afternoon and I'm just cooking for me, I'll take, and I know I'm going to do this recipe in a YouTube video and the ribs look really good. I'll take a thumbnail with those ribs, and then I'll just use that thumbnail for the same cook, just in case it doesn't look the same or whatever, and I'm like, wow, this is a really pretty thumbnail. Or just in case it's like today it's overcast and you don't really, you want like a sun shining on it and get that gloss, I'll take it and I'll just use, it's the same cook, it's the same rubs, everything's the same. It's just sometimes it's not the same ribs that I cooked in that video, which I don't think anyone really cares. I've never heard anyone say those aren't the same ribs that are in the thumbnail, but now they probably will, because they'll be like, this is not the same. We heard you talking about it.
I've done that too before with thumbnails.
Yeah, I mean, who cares? You just want people to click on it, and hopefully they get some value and watch it, and that's the goal for me.
Yeah.
So you've probably answered this, but what if you had to give advice to anybody wanting to start a YouTube channel? What would be the one advice you would give them?
Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. You don't need the best cameras. The cell phones right now. The first, probably up until last year, I used my cell phone. I bought a Canon M50. It was like a $500 camera. I used that for a while after I used my phone. And then I ended up Do you know Ricer over at Dead Broke Barbecue?
I've heard of them.
Okay, so I'm really good friends with him. I actually bought one of his Sonys because he upgraded to all full frame cameras. I bought one of his Sonys, and then I actually bought another one, but I still only shoot with one camera. And I just bought those because they shoot better in 4K. They don't crop in so much. So that'd be my thing: is don't overthink it. Just use what you have. There's nothing wrong. I mean, phones do 4K now. You can have great quality on them. Use a phone. My biggest piece of advice would be invest in a microphone, because people can tolerate like crappy video. They will not listen to crappy audio. Like nobody wants to listen to terrible audio. Yeah, exactly. Nobody wants to listen to terrible audio. And just like I said, batch shoot, get at least a month worth of video done so you can learn how to edit before you even post anything. Get your videos completely edited and get them ready to go. And then you have them built up. And then while you have that collection built up, you can focus on doing other things. But focus, like you can go on YouTube and type in smoked ribs or smoked brisket or something like that and just see, like, look at what the thumbnails look like, look at what the recipes are, try and emulate it. Don't copy it, obviously. Like that's, and if you're gonna follow someone's recipe, at least give them credit. Say, hey, I saw this video. This is how it turned out for me. You know, give the credit where credit's due. But there's nothing wrong with taking someone else's recipe and adding your own twist to it or doing something different. I think it's perfectly acceptable. But look at what those bigger views are getting. I mean, obviously, like if there's a channel with 1 million, they're going to get a lot of views anyways. But like you can sort and see like what's their top performing videos and, you know, watch them. And some of them are 8 years old and there's so many new things out there you could be doing to them to make them your own and just kind of bring it back. Like, you know, Malcolm did the like stuffed jalapeno chicken thighs or whatever. And then I did the chicken bomb video, which is very similar, but that was an old video for him and it did well. And if you can make a, you know, nice looking thumbnail out of that appeals to people and it's attractive, you can bring that recipe back. It already did well years ago. Nobody's really done it. Bring it back, you know? So just don't overthink it and just have fun with it and press record. I mean, you're never going to get a video up if you don't just do it. And your first videos are going to be terrible. Like my first video, my dog is literally humping a teddy bear in the background behind me. And that's the video that went with 150,000 views. And yeah, it was just, you know, and people are, you know, they got their comments. I'm like, yeah, keep commenting, feed the algorithm. Like, they're like, oh, your dog needs an OnlyFans. I'm like, yeah. So yeah, I mean, your first videos are going to be terrible. I'm looking at like the angles. I had my phone like propped up in the cupboard and like just terrible angles. But it's fun to go back and look at what your videos were a year ago compared to what they are now, because they get better and you don't even know it.
I still do the propped up in the cupboard. I don't care. I'm just like, my family is, the kids want to be in, but mom doesn't want them in.
Yeah.
Mom doesn't want in. I'm just like, if they get in, they get in.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're like, Elijah, hold this.
Yeah. Yeah.
My son does a good job filming. He's actually probably better at filming than I am.
Yeah. Having someone who can hold the camera for you is a huge thing. I do everything myself. So it's like, I could get videos done so much quicker if I had someone holding the camera and coming in and, you know, recording and whatnot. But there's been times, even I noticed on 2 of the videos I have to edit, I forgot to turn my mic on. So it's just dead air and I'm doing stuff. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to waste this whole video because of one clip that I forgot to turn my mic on. So what I'll do is I'll play the clip on my computer. I'll have my camera recording and I'll just talk throughout it. And then I'll just drop that audio in and it's going to sound the same because I'm recording in the same room, but nobody's going to know. Like, nope, not a single person is going to know that I'm not talking on that. And, you know, I probably 2 years ago, I probably would have just redone the whole video because I didn't know how to do that stuff. But now you kind of got a problem solved because not everything's going to turn out perfect. And if you have to sneak a voiceover in there or something else, it is what it is. It's better to just get the video out there because you never know. That could be the one that pops out for 10 million views. And you may, you know, you hit your 1,000 subscribers and now you're making thousands of dollars off of it and you were never going to post it.
Yeah. Yep. I've done some where you go in and instead of doing like a voiceover, I just mute it and I'll throw in a music overlay on it. Just like, I don't want any of this background in there, so I'll just throw music on it.
Yeah. Well, in the video that I do, it was during the wrapping portion of it. So really no real information there that you missed out on. I'm just wrapping up the pork butt. But I'm like, oh, I'm just going to talk about it, and then I'll just speed up the wrap, and then nobody will be none the wiser, because I don't like listening to tinfoil crinkle on camera. It drives me nuts. So I always just speed that up and cut the audio and just let the music play over that. But yeah, I mean, it's just problem solving. I mean, you're not going to waste you spent all day filming this video. You don't want to just waste it because of one scene.
Yeah.
So Brian, do you want to get into the rub talk? Which is yes.
Well, I want to do the rub talk, but I want to ask about the cookers. How many grills, smokers you have, things like that. Because Brad and I kind of had a little chit chat beforehand, and there's one that you have that I have.
Okay. I have a lot. I have a 3-car garage, and I can only fit my truck in. That's it. There's a lot. I have the Lone Star offset. I have the Lone Star pellet grill. I have Traeger. I have a Rectech. I have 4 or 5 portable pellet grills. I got 5 Gateway drums. 4 of them I only use for competition. They'd never get used at home. If I'm doing a practice cook, it's with the spare one. But I love the Gateway drums. I have the FEC 100 from Fast Eddie, which I just recently got that. That cooker is
money.
It is awesome. It is. And people are like, I can't believe for that price it doesn't have Wi-Fi or anything else. I'm like, you honestly don't need it. You don't need it. You can program it to do everything that you want it to do. Yep. You don't need the Wi-Fi on there. And the only time I ever use Wi-Fi really is if I'm doing overnight cooks. Hey, leave that. The dog. I only use it for overnight cooks, and that's just to set an alarm in case it hits, like if I'm doing a brisket overnight and it hits 180 degrees before I think it's gonna, I can get up and wrap it. But even using like a ThermalWorks, like leave-in probe or a Bluetooth probe, I use that a lot too. So not having the Wi-Fi wasn't a big deal for me, but that cooker is just, especially here in Minnesota, it is. I would say 100% the Lone Star Grills pellet grill and the FEC 100 are the 2 top pellet grills that you can buy, and it's not even close. Like, it's not. The way that Lone Star is built, it is a tank. That cooker, that's my daily driver, but that FEC 100, I mean, I'm gonna do a video. I might even do a video today on it. I should get one done. But I'll probably do it on that just because it's such a fun cooker, and it just I know it's gonna work.
Everything pork butts.
Everything I've cooked on it just turns out fantastic. Yeah. I've done brisket, ribs, pork butt, jalapeno popper pig shots. I mean, everything I've cooked on has just been phenomenal. So, and it's a fun cooker, and like I said, I mean, I'll throw 1 rack of ribs on there. I'm not above that,
I've got one. I'd show it to you, but I got a gift for Brad sitting in front of it. I got like 6-8 bags of good charcoal sitting right in front of it. I got to get to Brad.
Yeah, it's an awesome cooker. I mean, and I have Weber Smoky Mountains. I have Weber kettles. I mean, I recently just got one of the Rectech. It's one of their new models. I can't remember what it is. But I've used that a couple times, and it's a nice cooker too. I've had pit bosses in the past. I think, my number one, if I was going to tell someone to go and spend the money, if they're on the fence of, do I really want to get into cooking barbecue? If you're going to spend some money and you want to keep it under, $1,000, the Pit Boss Austin XL, that was my first pellet grill. I bought it when it was closeout from Walmart. It was like $200. And I did a ton of videos on that thing, really enjoyed it. If you want to spend a little bit more, I don't think there's anything wrong with the Traeger, but if it's something that you're going to be into and you really like it, man, you can't beat the Lone Star grills. And if you're going to be cooking for a crowd, the FEC 100 is, you can't go wrong with that. Those are lifetime pits. Those will run forever. You can buy the parts to keep them running forever. I also have an Old Hickory CTO I picked up from a restaurant that closed. needs some work. I've been working on that, trying to get that running because I got it. I paid $1,000 for it, and I'm like, well, even if I have to dump $3,000 into it to get it going, it's 100% worth it because you can buy everything. You can buy a part for everything. It'll literally run forever as long as you keep replacing the parts. So
yeah, well, that's what I was telling Brad. I was like, the FEC 100. I love mine. 16 pork butts, or if you have one catering gig, throw four pork butts on a rack, one rack, two other racks for sides or whatever, and then one rack on the very top. Throw your appetizers or finger foods.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, you can knock one event out with just that.
Yeah, it's an awesome cooker, and I just love I love how the only thing that was a little confusing for me was learning the smoke, cook, and whatever the 3 options. I'm like, okay, well, how do I just cook on it, And so that took a little bit of time to figure out, but man, yeah, you can't beat that cooker. It's freaking awesome.
Yep.
Big fan of it. But for competitions, I still like my Gateway, and my buddy that cooks with me, he's like, man, we should bring a pellet grill so just when it's time to wrap, we can just throw it on there. I'm like, nah, let's just stick with the Gateway. It's like they've been working. Like, why change it? Like, if something's working, I'm not going to change it.
See, Brad and I just got Hunsakers, and then what are your other drums? Are they just homemade drums, Brad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually won the contest during a raffle. They had a Big Papa Smokers kit that you just had to get the barrel and build it. So that was like my first like barrel cooker. And then I bought, it was during COVID, and someone was selling a couple Gateways, and it was right when that $1,200 stimulus check came out, and he was selling both of them for $1,200. I was like, the old stimulus pricing, huh? So I went and drove a couple hours, picked them up. And then another guy local here, he had another one, so I bought it from him. And then I bought my American flag one. I bought that one brand new. Otherwise, I bought them all used, and I love them. The flavor you get from the meat dripping on the coals is just really, really hard to emulate on anything else. And I think it's a really unique flavor. It's that old school barbecue flavor, which I really enjoy.
Yeah. So when did you bring your rub out? What got you going on that?
So I've been part of Team Suckle-Busters for a couple of years now. I was posting back when like pictures were all the rage. I was posting in a lot of barbecue groups, and all of a sudden the owner of Suckle-Busters messaged me, and he's like, "Did you cook that food?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Did you take those pictures?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Want to join Suckle-Busters?" I'm like, "Sure." I didn't know anything about him, and so he sent me a big care package and started using them, and so I really enjoy their rubs. And then I was using them, and then probably 2 years ago, because I think a year ago in October is when we finally released it. And it was quite a few months working on it. I want to say it was close to 9 months working on the rub. And he goes, you're, because, they got the discount code, and a lot of people were buying the rubs using my discount code. And it just gave them money off. I didn't get anything out of it. And he goes, well, you're selling a lot of product. He goes, why don't you come up with a rub? And he goes, we'll pack it up as part of our Pitmaster collection. And I've been using the Tailgaters Barbecue Party Rub, Dan Woods, who's a good friend of mine. And so he kind of helped me with the development of the rub, where to the point where I'd do a batch and I'd mail him some down in Texas. He would try it and say, okay, this is what we need to change. And so it was a process. They'd run it through the co-packer, and then they'd send it up to me. I'd try it, say, okay, we need to change this. Another 2 weeks would go by. So it was just a lot of like back and forth, because you can make a good rub and that people will buy once, but I wanted to make something that people enjoyed and wanted to buy more than once.
Yeah.
And now it's in Canada, it's in Shields, it's in Germany, like it's kind of all over, and it's turned out really good, and it was a really fun process. So that's kind of how the whole thing kind of evolved. I was using their stuff a lot, and Dan, the owner, was like, "Hey, why don't you come up with a rub?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's everyone's dream is to have a rub out there,
Yep.
And so yeah, I'm like, well, I want something that gives good color and something that I can use in contests too. So that was kind of the thought process behind that, and the rest is history on that one.
Yeah, Dan's a good guy. The whole company's a good guy. I picked his brain a lot when we were down at MBBQA. Do you get any kickbacks from your rub, or is it just through him and he markets?
No, so I do get a certain percentage of the sales.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice mailbox money. And yeah, so like next month we're going out to Fargo for the Shields corporate event. Dan is flying up from Texas. I wasn't able to go last year because I had just closed on the house or whatever, but we're going to go out there, and it's like the Shields corporate event. So like all the big names are going to be out there. And basically it's just, it's a you're teaching the workers how to cook brisket, and then they have like a little contest between all the employees, and whoever's team wins is kind of like the Shields corporate barbecue champion. So they've done it a couple years now, and this is the first year I'm finally going out there, so it'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm bummed I've missed it the past 2 years.
That will be fun. Yeah, I got the Sofa King lineup, and with my job, it's hard just being the one-man distributor and working my job and trying to be focused on everything. I'm like, I'll just take my time.
Yeah, so that was the option that he gave me. He said, well, he goes, we can either package it up and ship it up to you, and then you have to have a website and you have to take care of all the shipping. I'm like, well, who has room for pallets of rub? Like, not me. I was in a townhouse at the time, and now I might be able to do it, but I'm like, that just seems like a lot of extra work. I would have made more money, but for me, they take care of the labeling, the packaging, the shipping, everything else, and then I just get a percentage of it. And it, that's the route I wanted to go. It was simple and easy. And
yeah, I'm gonna have to reach out to him next time and say, hey, just take my lineup, give me a percent.
Yeah, it couldn't have been easier for me. I mean, sometimes I'm like, oh man, if I would have done this all myself, I would have made more money. But then you're doing all that extra work and you're not getting paid for it. So, you got to have the balance.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Are you going to come out with any new ones?
I need to talk to Dan about it. But yeah, I was just telling Dan Woods, the one who made the party rub, I really want to come out with a beef rub. So I might start working on that. Probably this year. I'll start working on it, but I want to get it right and use it. I'd like to use it for at least 6 to 12 months. And I kind of want to try it out at contests and see how it goes on like brisket and whatnot. Because right now my brisket rubs is the Tailgater barbecue party rub, and then the Hoochie Mama from Suckle Busters. Those are the rubs I use on my brisket, and they do really well. So I'm also like, well, I really don't want to change it because I've done well in brisket, but I get people all the time like, we need a beef rub. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'll get working on it. So
that's the old issue. Do you change rubs midstream when something's working, or do you it's kind of an old age thing?
Yeah, I don't like to change much. I mean, when my rub finally came out, I switched over to my rub. I was using Smoking Guns Hot for that little extra heat, and then I switched over to my rub because with that Chipotle. But sometimes, you got to be careful because with the Chipotle, depending on the batch, sometimes it's hotter, 1 year than the next year. And so you kind of got to pay attention to that. But people always ask me, they're like, is it hot or is it like Minnesota hot, where people here think ketchup is spicy? And I'm like, it's tolerable. Like, it's not going to blow your face off. There's enough to let you know that it's there. And it really dumbs down when you cook with it.
Yeah.
So
I got a pineapple Chipotle one, and it's the same. I tell people, the more you use, the hotter it's going to be.
Yeah. Exactly it. But yeah, you really got to, and I didn't even think about that aspect of it. Dan had told me, he goes, sometimes the batches might have a little bit more kick to them. I'm like, oh, that's fine. It is what it is. Usually people aren't just using one rub. They're doing, 2, and then they're saucing it. So it really kills the heat when you add some sauce and stuff like that. But it's not, if little kids can do the finger taste in there and they're fine with it, that's the best gauge is, number one, kids don't lie to you when food sucks. And if it's not too hot for a kid, it's probably fine, minus the people who think ketchup's spicy here. So
yeah.
So Minnesota people have no heat tolerance, is what you're saying?
Man, no. Like I did like a straight up Texas style brisket one time, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's a little peppery. I'm gonna get some heartburn." I'm like, "It's pepper. You use pepper all the time. Like, maybe you should be eating barbecue. Have a salad." So, but I don't know. I like heat. I'm a big fan of heat. I like hot sauces and all that, so I don't mind a little burn.
Oh, I'll get your address when we get off of here through like Messenger. I got a couple I'll send you. I got my Thai Dragon, which we designed. It's made with Thai Dragon peppers.
Yeah.
That's our hottest one, but then we got our top secret, which is designed for pork. It's our money.
Is it?
That's my favorite one.
Big award winner.
Second favorite one now, but
yeah, I'd love to try it. I mean, I have a lot of rubs. I got like 2 cupboards full of them, and if they're good, I use them all the time. And I don't even. I mean, it does. People are like, "Why don't you use your rub in that video?" You know, I'm like, "Well, because this rub's good too. Like, I'm not just gonna pimp my rub. Like, if it's a good rub, I have no problem using it." So.
Yeah, that's how I am. Pantry full of rubs because I love my stuff. Don't get me wrong. Brad has ones he loves, but we always change it up some just because I mean there's a different flavor.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I don't want to go this. I'm going to go this route.
Yeah.
And there's sometimes with YouTube, I'm like, I'm shooting for this flavor this time, so I'm going to gear my rub towards this flavor. Like I want savory ribs and less sweet ribs, or vice versa. Flavor profiles. So I use whatever. And I tell them I'm shooting for this kind of flavor. I'm not shooting for if I want a bacony flavored rub, or if I want a chipotle apple rub or a pineapple chipotle or something like that, then I change my rubs depending on what I'm cooking.
Well, and there's only so many videos you can do doing the same rub. I mean, you can only cook a rack of ribs so many times using the same rubs. Like I think the video I'm going to do today, PS Seasonings has an apple pie rub. I'm like, I might do some apple pie ribs just for fun because I think it'd be good. Everything kind of apple and see how it goes. So I mean, it's a new video and I haven't done it before, and that's the name of the game is trying to figure out, okay, what haven't I done before? And that's why it's nice when you get a new cooker, because you can kind of do everything you've already done just on a new cooker. And it's like, well, this is easy for me because I got to do 10 videos on this cooker, and I can do chicken, ribs, pork, and brisket. That's 4 right there. And then talk about the cooker. That's 5. And then it just leaves me 5 other videos I have to get done for it. So, and now with Easter coming up, ham's going to be a big video. So I have a ham downstairs. I'll probably do a ham video soon too.
See, I'm pulled pork for Easter.
No,
I don't like ham. I'd much rather have turkey. I'm not a fan of ham. I like it in like scalloped potatoes, but I honestly, my favorite thing to eat is brisket, obviously, but pulled pork is a very close second, if not tied, because man, some pulled pork with a nice Carolina vinegar sauce on it is my favorite.
I ruined the pulled pork because when I first started smoking, I made it every single weekend.
Oh, really?
Hey, every once in a while, I'm like, oh, pork sounds good, but it's probably, even judging it, it's my least. Like, give me chicken and brisket any day, then ribs, then pulled pork. But I do like ham, but I'm weird in the fact I don't like that twice baked ham that's got like the sweet. I don't like that kind of flavor of ham. It's me a good old fashioned like hunk of ham.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. I have to be in the mood for ham. Like I'm never going to take and make a ham sandwich. I'm going to make a turkey sandwich every time. Like I like cooking turkey. I think, you can really do a lot with turkey. You can either go that savory flavor that everyone knows, or you can go sweet barbecue style. And those, I wish I could just get those big turkey breasts that they get like down in Texas. We can't get those here. So it's hard for me to find it, but man, I would cook turkey every single week and use it for lunches all week if I could. Instead, I do chicken,
I just want to get a Viking outfit and get one of the large turkey legs and walk through one of our malls.
Yeah.
We get the little bitty turkey breast. So it's like a money muscle on a pork butt, seems like.
Yeah, or like the turkey tenderloin.
The size of a turkey here, it seems like.
Yeah. I don't know. Like that's why I always cook the turkey smoke, because I never get to cook turkey breasts like that. So I'm like, I don't even care if I do well. I just want to eat it. Like I cook it for me and just turn it in. It's free, so why not?
Yep.
So what's your competition season look like? As we got about 10 minutes to wrap it up.
I have, let's see here. I just sent out the schedule to the guys that cook with me. So in 2 weeks, I'll be down in Iowa for the first one of the year. I'll be down in Altoona, Iowa, Easter weekend. And then be at Minnesota in May, which is May 10th. And then down in southern Minnesota again on May 31st. Then we have a double out in Wisconsin. And then in the first weekend in June. And then the end of June, I'll be in Iowa again. July 12th, I'm down in southern Minnesota. July 26th, I'm down in Iowa again. And then there's 2 new contests this year. Here it's the Minnesota Masters Barbecue, which is in Piers, which is like an hour from me. And then they have the Jack Cooper Ranch Master Series, which is about an hour from me too. So I got 10 on there right now. 9 on there right now. So it'd be 10 with the double. And then the American Royal again, because I qualified for that again last October, the last contest of the year. I hit a GC out there in Wisconsin, so I'll qualify for that one again. And I'm hoping to get a jack draw.
So if you qualify for the Royal, are you not cooking the KCBS World Invitational?
No, I don't ever cook those. If they were closer, I would, but I'm not driving 15 hours to go cook it. I have a buddy that cooked it last year, and he really enjoyed it. But I'll drive to the Royal, but I'm not, and I'll drive to the Jack, but I'm not driving 15 hours to cook a contest. It's just not.
Well, and I kind of agree with you because I cooked the Invitational. Well, Brian was there too. We kind of all cooked it in Mayetta, and it was a fun contest because of the prestige and the rubbing elbows.
Yeah,
but it wasn't my favorite one.
Yeah. I like the Royal. I mean, last year was my second year there, and both years there, I've gotten brisket calls, which is incredible to be able to go up, just be a part of that and bring the ribbon home. And it's awesome. Last year, I mean, as we all know, was kind of a mess with the scores and everything, which it sounds like I have a buddy who cooked Smoke on the Shores in Nashville yesterday, and they were all sent home again without scores. And the fact that keeps happening makes me
times.
It makes me not even want to. Well, it happened at Minnesota in May last year too. Awards were delayed 3 hours, and I'm like, or like 2 or 3 hours, and I'm like, how have we not figured this out yet? CBA uses a phone and does all their voting on a phone. There's never an issue, but right now we're still using an ancient computer system that nobody can figure out.
How many board of directors that are cooks that are commenting on Facebook that KCBS can see, like, hey, contact these other divisions and find out what they're using. Like, come out of the Stone Age.
This should not be an issue. It shouldn't have been an issue after it happened a couple times last year, but after it happened at the Royal and royally screwed people over, like obviously Machete Boys, they're from here in Minnesota. I know David. I mean, and I've been silent on it on social media but after yesterday, it's just like, how is this still a problem? Like, how are people spending? It's ridiculous. You spend $1,000 minimum to go cook a contest, and you don't even know if you won or what happens, and you're waiting to find out a day later or days later. It should not be an issue.
Plus, to me, it cast doubt on every single other contest. Like I could have GC'd 2 or 3 contests last year and got screwed. We don't know.
Yeah, that's so. This one at the end of the month in 2 weeks that we're going down to, they said awards are going to be at 4:30, and I'm like, man, I got a 3.5 hour drive home after that. I said, and then after the deal with Smoke on the Shores, I told my buddy, I said, we're packing up and leaving right after brisket turn, and I'm not even staying for awards, because if they get delayed, I'm just going to be pissed, and I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not doing it. If it's within an hour of home, I'd stay, but I gotta get home. It's Easter the next day. Like, I'm not taking the chance on the awards not getting done on time, and it's just frustrating. It really made me not want to cook this year. For the longest time, like all winter, I'm like, maybe I'll slow down and just do a couple contests. But then, so last year I was Minnesota Team of the Year. This year I was Minnesota Team of the Year runner up. And now I'm like, well, now I want to get Team of the Year again, so I'm gonna freaking cook it, And I'd like to keep going back to the Royal. I'd like to, at least try and get one GC a year. And oddly enough, the one I got in October, I also GC'd earlier in the summer. So every time I go out to that contest in Wisconsin, I get lucky. The first day of the double, the first year, we got third place. Day 2, we got RGC. So then when we went back last year, I'm like, well, we got third, second. We missed a 700 by like half a point. I said, so tomorrow we're going to GC with over 700. And we did. I basically Babe Ruthed it. I said, this is what's happening. And we did. And then we went back in October and GC'd again. So it's like, well, I like that contest for obvious reasons. And it's like at a campground. So I just rent a cabin, and it's like cooking at the cabin. You get a full refrigerator for everything.
Yeah.
You don't got to worry about coolers. And yeah, I love that. That's the bringing home the bacon in Wisconsin. Yep. It is a lot of fun. I love that contest.
That's awesome. That is one of the ones. If I ever get a chance, I'm thinking about cooking it. I've heard such great things about it.
Lori and Keith run it, and they are just the best people. And I will always cook that contest, even if I don't cook 10, 15 a year. I will always go out there and cook that contest just because it's fun. It's like cooking at the cabin.
Yeah, that's cool.
So we got about 4 minutes. You want to give a shout out to your sponsors before we call it a day, or your YouTube or any of your social medias?
Yeah, Ace Coon Rapids is probably one of my bigger sponsors. Sucklebusters, obviously. Rob Renke, Realtor. My realtor is a really big supporter of the team. Compart Duroc, obviously. Compart Family Farms. I cook their pork. I cook their ribs. They're great people. I'm just trying to think. I haven't done a post in a while. Yeah, I mean, Lone Star Grills, obviously, they're a big supporter of the channel, and doing a couple videos for their channel as well. But yeah, I think that's Ace is a big one. They've sold a lot of my rub. They were the first retailer to have it, and so I really enjoy that. But yeah, it's in Shields. You can order on Shields. And then all my socials are just Ash Kickin BBQ on everything. So
awesome.
Yeah,
he has a very successful YouTube channel that I watch a lot of videos to try and learn from. So just let everybody know.
Man, it was fun last year. We were sitting there watching football, and I had the counter up, and it was at like 9,000 or 99,999. I was sitting there watching it, recording it to hit 100,000, and it hit, and it was pretty cool. And then I got the plaque like a month later, and it's just, I always said like I want 100,000. And when I remember when I had like 10,000 subscribers, I'm like, man, it seems so far away. And then you sit there, and I remember the first month I got monetized, I made like $124. I'm like, wow, this pays for all the meat and everything else, and just how much it can blow. I mean, it can really change your life if you put in the effort and stick with it, and don't give up. It can really, I mean, it's another job, but it's really rewarding, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on. We enjoyed talking barbecue and YouTube with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was awesome.
We'll catch you at the Royal this year.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be there.
Oh, I will.
I'm going to be in the same spot. So the first year we were kind of in the very back because I was on the waiting list. And then this year we got moved up to kind of next to Iowa Smoky D's and Chicken and Grinnin' and all those guys. And so I'm like, well, we're just going to keep that spot now. We'll probably always go back and cook it, even if we don't get to cook the Invitational. I'll always go and cook the Open because it's just so much fun, and we're in a prime location now.
Yeah, I go with a buddy, Weekend Bum, who does this with us, and we're back in the turn 2 little compound area he has.
Yep.
So
it's fun.
We'll catch you out there.
All right, man.
See you. Thanks.
Have a good one. Thanks.